Okay, you're welcome back. My name is Legendary Boss 247. So on a quick one here, my online student requested for this. So I'm just going to show us quickly how to do this, right? In some minutes. So the first thing you want to do is you need to go on your pattern paper and draft your trousers, right? So I will not take my time to draft the trouser here because I already have a video on that on the YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and do that, right? And watch it. So let's quickly have a rough trouser here like this. Okay, okay. So quickly, just a straight trouser down here, right? So we have the hip line somewhere here, we have the thigh there, and we have the knee, right? So this is just a simple straight trouser, right? Now you can check the width of what we have here is about this should be up to 16 inches circumference at the ankle there, right? So you want to go with your 16 inches, that is 8, right? So quickly, we have this, and this is the front, right? So it is just your normal trouser. Draft your trouser on your pattern paper. You are free to add, you should add all the necessary sewing allowance, just as if you're drafting it on a fabric, right? So add all your allowance, add your folding allowance at the base here, add the side seam allowance, which is your ½ inch here like this, right? Add all the necessary allowance just as we do when we are cutting a regular trouser, right? But then the difference is you're doing it on the paper, right? So if you've done that for the front, of course you know what to do. Go ahead and make your back out of your front, which is going to look like this. I said it earlier, we already have a video on the channel on female trouser drafting. You are free to go and check it out, right? So this gives us the back. Again, we will have our hip line here, thigh line and knee line, right? Like this, right? So quickly, I'm going to cut this out. Also, mind you, you are doing all of this on your paper, right? On your paper. So you just need one of each like this. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and analyze the trouser. Okay, it's kind of a baggy trouser, right? And then it has a joint on the front. I'm sure it's going to have the same thing at the back, right? So what you want to do is to find the midpoint of your front like this, and then we cut it out all the way down, right? So I'm cutting both the front and back together, right? Like this. And make sure after cutting, make sure you know which is front and which is back, right? So let's just label them. This is F front, F, right? So this will be back, right? So you're going to have it like this, you see, right? Now make sure you have added all your necessary sewing allowance. Make sure you have done this now. First thing first, we want to draft out now the inner part of the trouser on our fabric. Let's call the inner part, I mean the part that has the crotch, right? So I just want to show you the crotch was lower down, right? So you want to add at least 5 inches down to your normal crotch, right? So if I'm placing this now, tracing this back on my fabric, you know we need a two of this, right? So my fabric is folded into two. What you want to do is to lower the crotch down at least 5 inches, right? So if the crotch came down close to the knee line, you can see my knee line here, right? So about 5 inches will do, right? So now you're going to trace it out like this, and then we have the waist part. Now remember, we have added all necessary allowance. Only on this new line that we slitted open, you're going to add ½ inch, like this, right? So for the rest part, you're going to cut it exact. Then you have your new crotch, right? Remember, we have added all sewing allowance, so you're going to cut this out, right? This is for the front, mind you. Make sure you are adding about 5 inches to your crotch depth there, right? So we have this. Nothing much is happening on this one here. So this will be on your fabric now, right? Make sure you add your ½ inch. Sorry, I'm doing this so quickly. Want to minimize the time spent, right? Make sure you're adding your ½ inch on this side, because you're going to join these two together later on, right? This side and this side, right? So you need the sewing allowance ½ inch there, right? So this has been taken care of for this one. This is the front, right? We have lowered the crotch. So you're going to do the same thing for the back, right? Here now we are on our fabric, mind you, we are cutting down on our fabric. So you're going to do the same thing here. Quickly add your ½ inch on this side here, right? And then for the remaining part, you're free to cut the same, because we have added our sewing allowance already. Now remember to lower your crotch down by 5 inches, just as you did for the front, right? So we have this again, right? So make sure you cut this out again quickly, right? I just want to minimize time, right? So cut this out as you did for the front. We are not going to waste time on that. Where we have the main design here is this sides, right here, the side of front and back. Now this is how to go about this baggy effect you have here. When you get your front, let's start with the front. The baggy effect on the side is what we want to get now, right? So fold your fabric, place your front on it, right? Go ahead and pin, right? And then you want to know where is your knee line here. This is our knee line here. So what we have here, the baggy forms a little bit below the knee. The peak of the baggy is a little bit below the knee, right? So you may want to drop down from your knee, let's say like 3 inches, right? And then this is what we do, right? This is my ankle here, right? We already have our sewing allowance, so I'll simply connect. So you're going to push out here, depending on how wide you want this to be. You can push out up to 6 inches, up to 7, 8, depending on how wide you actually want it, right? So now let me push out from here. For me, I want to go for about, let's check what we have here. For me, I want to go for about 7 inches, right? So you simply connect this here, a straight line, and then you also connect it to your waist. Straight lines, please. Make sure you use your ruler, right? Like this. So remember, we have added sewing allowance. You can see my 2 inches sewing allowance at the base there, so no need adding allowance there. But at this part where we want to join it to the front, the other piece of the front, you must add your ½ inch, just as we did earlier on the other part of the front, right? So you have it like this, right? For our waist region, we already have everything figured out, so no need for allowance there. So this gives you the front part, right? The front part. And again, you want to do the same thing for the back. The same thing for the back. So you go ahead and cut this out first. So it's actually very simple. You want to do the same thing for the back, like this, and then like this. So you're going to sew this. Now you can decide to curve, because what we have here on this one here is not really peak, it's not really sharp, it doesn't have a sharp point here. So you can decide to numb it a little, you can decide to curve it, right? So instead of using a very sharp point, you can decide to make this point here a little bit curved, right? That is what we have here now. You can decide to do that, right? Some of the design comes out very sharp, while some are curved, right? So this gives you this. Now let's put this together with our other part of the front. You can see these are the two fronts basic trouser on your pattern paper. Now these are the two fronts to give us this design here. You see it? This is your ankle area. This is the baggy side slightly beneath your knee, and then this is your elongated crotch, right? And then every other thing comes together. Your waist, your every other thing remains the same, right? Let's turn it this way so that you can see, right? Put it together like this. You see, this is how to achieve this trouser. You see it, right? So this is it. This is crotch. This is the baggy effect. Then here we have a joint where you can double stitch and top stitch, right? So the same thing you want to do for the other side of the back. Okay, see it here. We want to do the same thing. Go ahead and you pin this down, right? We are doing this on the side seam. You already know this point here. We already have our folding allowance, no big deal. Come down from your knee by 3 inches, push out by 7 inches. You can do more or less if you want, and then add, you connect your points this way, and then this straight to your waist. Use a straight line if you want to. You can make here curved a little, just as we did earlier. Here you add your half-inch sewing allowance all the way up, and then it gives you the same thing for the back, right? So then you can now go and assemble your pieces just as you would do for a normal trouser. This is how to go about that design. Thanks for watching. My name is Legendary.